Okay, and fucking A, it's time for Let's Argue, where I take on all your hot takes, unpopular opinions, and tough questions about anime. It's a ripoff of a show that Anthony Fantano does, but I'm an anime guy, so it's a little bit different. Han Yu says Kaguya-sama wa Kokurasetai is anime of the year. I mean, sure, if you have shit taste. Elijah Lawson says KyoAni could be the next Disney if they just stopped trying to make their in-house novels work and start adapting more well-known public domain stories. You know, I never even thought of that idea. That's an interesting thought. I mean, that's kind of what Miyazaki's done for a lot of his films, are like very loose adaptations of not just public domain, but of, you know, novels in general. You know, KyoAni doing like a world masterpiece theater revival, I could definitely see that being really interesting. I'm almost surprised they wouldn't do something like that. I don't know. That would be interesting. Scribble says Ping Pong the animation was robbed because people have an idea of what anime should look like, and if something strays too far from that, it doesn't feel like anime to them. This restricts studios creatively and continues the cycle of anime inspired by anime, inspired by anime, and spy, and then cuts off. Was Ping Pong robbed? The show was pretty successful, I think. It seemed like it had a pretty fervent following for being as experimental and weird looking of a show as it is. I mean, it's not just a matter of anime fans want things that look like anime. It's just a matter of people want something that looks good. And Ping Pong is so non-traditional in its approach. I mean, a lot of people are going to look at it and just think it looks like a crappy drawing. Like, people's understanding of what is good art does not often follow in that direction, you know? I think that only people who are interested in more experimental art styles would take to Ping Pong, regardless of if they are anime fans or not, you know? I don't think it's the kind of show that you could show to a normal person and they'd be like, wow, that looks amazing. Like, they'll probably say, that show looks like total dog shit. Personally, I think it looks amazing, of course, but, you know, I like experimental weird shit. Obviously, Masaaki Yuasa is still getting work, so the shows must be resonating with enough people to keep that happening. Sayu Team Epic says anime fans care way too much about live-action adaptations as if it's some sort of approval of quality or something, when in my opinion it's the complete opposite. Yeah, I think so too. I don't understand why people really give so much of a shit. I mean, it's probably blown out of proportion because of how well it works as clickbait, that if let's say a popular property is getting a live-action adaptation, everybody is going to make a video about it complaining because it's free views, because it's tied to the property. So people's outrage is just fueling really the ability for these things to keep happening, because they all get tons of press and tons of people will hate watch things. Like, I don't think anybody was going into, say, the Ghost in the Shell movie thinking it was going to be good. Immediately everybody was complaining about it, but I'd be willing to bet it made back its budget just on how many people felt they needed to see it because Ghost in the Shell was in the title. You know, this culture just feeds itself. Jonathan Cifuente says Naruto should get a remaster like DBZ Kai. If you're not aware of it, somebody did make a version of Naruto where they compiled the whole show into 90-minute episodes which adapt each volume of the manga exactly, and they just cut out all the filler, all the recaps, anything that's not purely in the manga, and a lot of people who watch it say that it makes Naruto suddenly good. My buddy Tom Oliver just got done marathoning the whole show and he absolutely loved it. So I think it might actually be called Naruto Kai. So yeah, just look up Naruto Kai, somebody has already done the work for you. Alex says beautiful animation from shows like Violet Evergarden is shit and often holds back the medium. The best animation in anime comes from shows willing to use the medium to its true potential, like Mob Psycho 100 and Gurren Lagann. I mean, I tend to prefer that kind of thing. I don't see, I mean, if anything's limiting the potential of the medium, it's making these kinds of distinctions and saying it should be one way or should be another. Some people want to watch something that looks really pretty. Some people want to watch something that's really expressive. I tend to fall into the later category, but, you know, there's no accounting for taste. DV says, you will never have a better series than Digi Daily. For your attitude and style of content, it's the perfect format. The only other series that has come close is your Patreon rants. I guess that is an unpopular opinion. Digi Daily didn't exactly get very many views. The Patreon rants have been a much better version of the same because I make an insane amount of money off of them. And if they did come out daily, I think maybe people would enjoy getting that daily dose of a couple of rants. I mean, it would have to be like 3 a day with the number that I get them at. I want that to go more smoothly eventually, but this is not really about anime, is it? Renko says, Hidamari Sketch is just as amazing as K-On! The first season has its problems, but after that you get 3 seasons of amazingness. Possibly true. I've still never watched all of Hidamari Sketch. I've still only seen the first 2 seasons, so you could be completely right. I mean, I love Hidamari Sketch. I have considered it to be among my favorites each time that I have watched it, but it's been a while. Update coming soon. Forno says, the 1999 adaptation of Hunter x Hunter does a lot of things better than the 2011 adaptation. I think this is not an unpopular opinion with anybody who's actually watched the 1999 version. I mean, the biggest problems with it are A, that it is so incomplete. It obviously stops way earlier than the 2011 version and before what are my favorite arcs of Hunter x Hunter. But also, there's the fact that it's just like paced a little bit more slowly, but if you've seen images from it, the shot compositions, the animation and artwork are all much better. I mean, particularly the color aesthetic of the show looks incredible. I definitely would like to give it a watch sometime, just because, yeah, I think that it makes the 2011 version look bland by comparison, but the bottom line is, one of them tells the whole story, at least up to a point, you know, and has the best arc, while the other doesn't, so there's room for both to exist in this world. Rain Talon X says Psycho Pass is a 1-season show. I hope everybody feels this. Interesting opinion. Shirkda says, the anime/manga/light novel market is so oversaturated with Isekai because Isekai is just the best genre combination you could think of. What even is it a combination of genres of? I mean, it's just a fantasy adventure story, basically, but about a character who happens to start in our world instead of starting off in that world. It's just an excuse for you as a viewer to completely understand and relate to this character because you have assurance that they are not, you know, there's nothing different about them than what there is for you. It's just an easy way to not have to establish a character because you can just say, oh, well, he's an otaku from Japan, and you go, I'm an otaku for Japan. I can project myself onto this character. I already understand everything about them, so we can just get the story rolling from there. It's, you know, especially popular, I think, because what it appeals to is this idea of being able to have your skills that don't have any real benefit to you in real world society mean something somewhere else. So if you're somebody who's developed all these critical thinking skills and strategizing from playing video games, you don't really have an opportunity in the real world to use those skills, but if you were in a world where you could, then everything would go differently. I mean, in my opinion, the ultimate isekai anime is pretty much No Game, No Life, because it's so direct that this is the point, that these two are like the ultimate masters of games, and they straight up say in the first episode, like, the real world is the worst, is the shittiest game that's ever existed because it doesn't follow internal logic. It doesn't, you know, playing by the rules doesn't get you ahead. Playing logically doesn't get you ahead. Everything is based on, you know, culture as it's evolved over time in a nonsensical, sort of chaotic fashion. So if you were to go to a world that was forced to obey video game logic and you were the master of video game logic, you will be the master of that world. It's just straight up telling you the point of isekai anime. And of course there are those that deliberately play with this and try to go against the grain, something like ReZero, where part of the idea is that the character goes to the isekai world and doesn't really amount to anything there, which is more of holding a mirror up to reality and saying, hey, you dumb, lazy piece of shit, just because you go somewhere and you have a special power doesn't mean you'll automatically be great. And I watch that and I go, no shit, did we need a whole show about this? Who gives a fuck? Way too many fucking cold takes in here. Josiah says, it's great when Netflix gets seasonal anime that airs weekly in Japan, not because I like their release strategy, but because it often means we get fan subs that are higher quality than what official services provide. Reasonable. I mean, I think that there are There are fan sub groups that still handle like a lot of especially the popular shows. They tend to come out a little bit later than horrible subs, but there are people who will only watch fan subs because they don't want to see this shitty Crunchyroll translations. I don't blame those people at all. I'm just a little too lazy, and I know Japanese just well enough that I'd rather just watch it with the shitty translations and fix it in my head.
Well, he recorded way more than that, but the files broke for no particular reason, so this is where it cuts off. Pretty anticlimactic. And hey, here's something even more anticlimactic.
おはようございます。
おはよう。今日は早いね。
社長。
Oh, it's not a meme, viewers. Hi, I'm the Devu. I edited a lot of these videos, and this is the last Digibro video I'm doing. I quit. YouTube is bad. I make video games now. Here's what I made last year. Autonomous, an adventure game about supernatural atomic waste. It's very short and free to download on itch.io. You can find it at thedevu.com. Yes,